Hey guys, Gabe the Great back here again with another video. Sorry it's been a while since I last done a video, but just so you know, I've been signing contracts, making moves, and we are going to be upping the production value here in 2019. I just hired a professional videographer, and we're going to start doing some IRL, some vlogs, and some motivational videos going forward in 2019 that has to deal with basketball and team building. You'll also be able to see how I do practices and coaching games and things like that. So I think it'll be a really cool experience. Now, keeping all that in mind, today I wanted to talk to you today about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. Now, back in 2017, I actually wrote a book, a very short ebook, and it was called Winning Winners and Wins. And today I wanted to break that book down because it has to do with how to be an effective coach. These are things that I've just learned over the years and things that I've seen other great coaches do that I wanted to talk about today. So in the book, like I said, it's called Winning Winners and Wins. And each of these words describes the three different areas that I believe a coach can really focus his energy on. One is the culture, one is the identity of the players, and two are the events of the team. Now, when it comes to culture, I believe every single program and team either has a winning culture or a losing culture. When it comes to identity, I believe that every single player, every single basketball player today believes that they are either a winner or a loser. And every single game has an event that will either end in a win and a loss. Now, my whole premise of this book was that I said the most important thing if you want to be a good basketball program and be a good basketball coach is that you have to focus most of your time and energy on building culture. And that's what I want to talk about in this first video today. So let's jump right into it. Now, whenever you hear about great teams, let's say the Golden State Warriors, San Antonio Spurs, or the New England Patriots, one thing that everyone always loves to talk about is their team culture. Now, I've been fortunate enough to have a cousin who actually played in the NFL for a little bit, and he actually had a chance to have a small, brief little stint with the New England Patriots. Now, you got to understand, he's played for the Patriots, he's played for the Colts, and he's played for the Arizona Cardinals and probably a couple other teams as well. And so one Thanksgiving, I asked him, I said, I think at this time they had only won, 4 championships, 4 Super Bowls. And so at the time I asked him, hey, cousin, so what makes the Patriots so special? Why do they just keep winning Super Bowls? And I'll never forget what he told me. He said, Gabe, there's just something different about that team. He said there was just some things that you could get away with in a place like Arizona, but you couldn't get away with in New England. He just said the culture is just different. And it wasn't like the coaches would be on top of you. It would actually be the other players. If you were late to a meeting or if you didn't do your assignment, oftentimes it was the players who were getting on you, not the coaches. And so in New England, you had to be on your toes, you had to be prepared, and you had to do what you were supposed to do. Otherwise, you weren't going to be there very long. Whereas in other places that I've played, it was totally different. Guys would show up late to meetings. Guys would kind of do what they want, and they kind of got away with it. They just had a different way about them. And this really speaks to what I believe is the most important thing when it comes to coaching and building a great basketball team, which is building the proper culture. But everyone talks about great culture, but very few people actually know what culture is. So just so we're very clear, as I'm talking about culture, the definition of culture is the social behavior and norms of a social group. So the culture can be summed up in the beliefs, the values, the interests, the experience, and the habits of a team. Think about it like this. The culture of your team is the thermostat of your team. If you are in your house and you turn your thermostat to 75 degrees and it gets a little bit colder than 75 degrees, then the heat is going to kick in. If you have it set to 75 degrees and it gets a little warmer than 75 degrees, then the AC is going to get kicked in. But the whole purpose of the thermostat is to keep your house at a certain temperature. That's what the culture serves as in a team environment. It serves as the thermostat. This is why coaches can have a hard time getting more out of their players, because every time they try to push their players up, their culture pulls them back down. Now, here's the crazy thing for all the coaches out there. Every single team has a culture, whether you're trying to build it or not. Every single team has a culture. As a matter of fact, anytime a group of people come together, a culture will then be formed from that group. So as a coach, as a leader, maybe you're not a coach, but maybe you're a team captain on your team. You have got to know and understand the culture of your group and really go out of your way to ensure that you have a great culture. Because at the end of the day, a culture is impossible to resist. There's very little things you can do to fight a culture once a culture has been set up. And so as a coach, as a leader, you want to make sure that you are doing everything that you possibly can to ensure that you are building a winning and not a losing culture. Now that we all understand what a culture is, the next obvious question is, well, how as a coach or as a leader do I build a great culture inside of my team? And the simple explanation is that a great culture always starts with a vision. Now, when I think about a vision, one of the verses that comes to my mind is Proverbs 29:18 that says, where there's no vision, the people cast off restraint. And this just lets you know that when a group doesn't have a vision that they are striving towards, all hell breaks loose. People will do whatever they want to do. I believe it's the second law of thermodynamics that says everything moves from a state of order to disorder. So if you leave a group to its own devices, it will be chaotic. It will be a losing situation. It will be an unpleasant situation. But when you have a really good vision, people tend to get in line with that vision. All losing cultures have a lack of vision. Now, I want to be very clear. There's a difference between having a vision and having objectives. Every team has an objective, and all coaches and all players almost inherently know the objective. The objective is to win the game. The objective is to come to practice. The objective is to do the drill. The objective is to run the play. We're all pretty familiar with objectives. And what happens with a lot of coaches, they think that they are instilling a vision when really they are just accomplishing objectives. See, an objective is what you do. A vision is how you do it. See, all winning cultures are guided by their vision and not the day-to-day objectives. Every team is going to have to do the objectives. Every team is going to have to learn the plays, run the drills, participate in the games. That is what every single team has to do. But it's only the winning teams that are guided by their vision. And a really good vision is the embodiment of an experience. It's not something tangible. So your vision can't be winning the championship. That's not a vision, that's an objective. A better vision would be being champions. See, being a champion is an experience, not an objective. Striving for greatness, that's a vision. That's an experience. 100% of the time, which is my main coaching philosophy. That is an experience. That is a descriptive message of something that is intangible, something that is bigger than just this drill or this game or this practice. See, a great coach, a great leader has the ability to call greatness out of people through a unifying vision. Now, when it comes to really building a great culture, expectation is everything. Without expectation and accountability, it means nothing. Now, this is why the vision is so important, because in reality, the vision becomes the standard. So let's take an example. If our vision was becoming champions or being champions, if that is the vision, then every single thing that we do is going to be in the vein of being a champion. As a coach, I can ask my player, hey, did you give a championship effort in that last drill? Are you giving me a championship effort on the court? Are you treating each other like champions? See, the vision becomes the standard, because the hardest part in building a great culture is accountability. The other hardest part of building a great culture is the environment. I never forget, I actually heard a coach speak, and they were talking about Doc Rivers when he first took over the Clippers. And feel how you want to feel about the Clippers or Doc Rivers. The bottom line is the Clippers are 1,000% different than they were before Doc Rivers took over. Now, they are nowhere near the best team in the league, but they're definitely not the laughing stock of the league like they were for decades and decades. Now, one of the first things that Doc Rivers said that he did when he got there was he said he had to change the environment. An environment is very, very important. One of the things that I look for as a coach is, what does the gym look like? What is the lighting in the gym? How do we set things up? What does the locker room look like? Are there motivational things when they're going in the locker room? How are people treating each other? What is the behavior like in between drills? This is all environment. An environment 1,000% shapes your behavior. It's going to shape how people perform in drills. It's going to shape how people listen. It's going to shape how people perform in games. I always say it like this. It doesn't matter how good of a gardener you are. You could be the best gardener on the face of the earth. You cannot grow roses in the middle of Antarctica. It's just impossible. Why? Because the environment is not right. It doesn't matter how good of a coach you are. If you have a losing environment, you will have a losing program. You have to learn how to, as a leader and as a coach, build a winning environment. Now, one of the best tools to do this is consistency. I see a lot of coaches, they're really hard line the first week of practice, and then they kind of lax up as the season goes along. And usually what happens is, as the coaches lax on the vision and on the standard, the players also lack. And so one of the things that you have to do as a leader and as a coach is make sure that you are being consistent. How you were the first week of practice has got to be how you are the 15th week of practice. How you are with the captain is the same way you are with the 12th man on the team. Now, I know this gets a little political and gets a little tricky the more and more you move up in competition and at higher levels, but there is a nuance to this and there is a balance to this. Now, another one of the big tools that I think is super important is you have to develop a culture of leadership. Now, I can make a whole video on the culture of leadership, but the biggest thing I want you to take away from this is that you can't do it by yourself. You can't be the only person that believes in your vision, that reinforces your vision, and that talks about the vision. You've got to develop a culture where other people are stepping up through assistant coaches, through managers, through captains, and through other people on the team that also embody the vision that you're trying to set. If you do these three things right here, you will build a winning culture. So, what do you guys think? What makes a winning culture? Leave your comment down in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time when we're going to talk about winners and losers. Peace. Thank you.